This is your host, Orime Karim. Well, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. A topic that we can all relate to. A topic that, let me tell you, without it, none of us can survive. And it's about money, our finances. What to do with it, how to earn it, how to keep it when we earn it. Well, today we have a very special guest in our midst who will be discussing everything that has to do with wealth management. He is a Division I football player in the ACC for Wake Forest University. He's been a financial advisor for 25 years. He's the father of two wonderful boys, ages 19 and 16. In 2023, he became registered and licensed as a sports and entertainment accredited wealth manager. In 2024, he was named top 20 wealth managers to watch by Louisville's Business First magazine. He's an accredited wealth management advisor and the director of sports and entertainment for Pro Athlete Wealth. Without further ado, I would like to invite and introduce to you Mr. Pi Charasika, also known as Pademoyo Charasika. You are welcome to the Quintessential Rebel Podcast. It's been a while. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, you are welcome. So we have a lot to unpack today. First of all, before we dive into the main reason for the interview today, which is, about our money and finances, tell us a little bit about your background and how it led you to wealth management.
Well, I guess the quick understanding of my name, Pademoyo, stems from my father's birth in Zimbabwe. He's from Zimbabwe, Africa. He actually came over to this country by way of a missionary program who brought him to Tennessee Wesleyan College to essentially study ministry. And in the process of his education, determined that he actually wanted to further his career in medicine, not ministry, and be able to give back to people that way. So he went to Mahari Medical College, just outside of Nashville, so predominantly black attended medical school, and then received his residency at the University of Louisville, where he then opened a family practice office down on Hill Street.
Here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, right here in Louisville. And so my father was a physician for a very long time down in that area, catering to some of the impoverished areas, things like that, making house calls and taking care of people that way. So I was able to kind of get my education, very blessed with the opportunity to go to a private school here locally called Kentucky Country A. Spent K through 12 at that place, and in turn went to Wake Forest University thereafter, where I was a college football player. I walked on the team as a wide receiver in the ACC and pursued a degree in business and communications thereafter. So my career is pretty interesting. I actually wanted to get into sports broadcasting because of my athletic background, but in pursuing that, realized that those dudes don't make a lot of money right out of the gate. So being a productions assistant and moving to Idaho, making $12,000 a year really wasn't in the cards for me. So I actually put that career on the back burner, and with the help of a local banker by the name of Marshall Bradley. Marshall Bradley was with National City Bank at the time, back in the late 90s. He actually helped me pursue a career in banking. So I worked for National City Bank, started in 1998, right after college. Worked for them for about a year in their managerial training program. Really just wasn't a great fit for me. The concept of banking changed quite a bit, where it was more transactional, and my mindset is really more getting in front of people to understand what their needs are, And that really lends itself more towards being a financial advisor. So about a year later, I pursued my career as a financial advisor with a company called Paine-Webber. It eventually became UBS. So in doing so, you sit for the Series 7, the 65, the 66, your life and health exam, did all those licensing processes in an effort to begin to become an expert in my field. So over the last 20 to 25 years, it's really been a focus of mine to build rapport with people, educate them about their finances, and then in turn, hopefully help them prosper or meet whatever financial goals they have, short or long term.
That's been quite a journey. Now, it seems like money was a little bit of a motivator there.
Yeah. I mean, the career itself is challenging at first because your intention is to essentially be a steward of someone's wealth. Sometimes it's new money. Sometimes it's money that's been inherited and it's old money. But nevertheless, people are entrusting things that they've worked for or earned or garnered for long periods of time. And they need that to be able to pursue the lifestyle that they want. So trust is a huge part of what we do. Risk is a decent part of what we do. And you'll find that most careers and professions that entail a lot of risk typically also compensate you pretty well. So that being said, the opportunity to make a decent amount of money was certainly exciting to me, but really the most important part to me was the education I was going to be able to provide to a certain subset of people that really needed it. Most people classify a wealth advisor as working with very affluent, high net worth individuals, and there's a lot to be said for that, absolutely. But in working with those people, it provides you with an opportunity to work with those that may be less fortunate but still need the literacy around like investments and planning, budgeting, if you will, for their own future so that they can in turn start to reach some of that empowerment.
So what do you think has been some of the common mistakes that you have seen people make with regards to the management of money, even before they make a decision to come to you, or when they sit down in a session with you to discuss their finances? What are the common mistakes that we make on a regular basis?
I would say probably the biggest one is a lack of understanding of what their financial capacity is, meaning, how are you budgeting money? If you've got a certain amount of income right now, but you've got expenses that exceed that income on a regular basis, well, you're in deficit. That actually means that you're underwater each and every month, and despite the fact that you think that you might be doing well, when you really put pen to paper and look at what you're spending versus what you're making, and you're coming up negative every month, that throws a wrench in any ability for you to save. So one of the first things we try to put eyes on is building out a budget for someone. Let's look at your monthly income. Take a look at that relative to what your fixed expenses are and your variable expenses. Fixed expenses have to be there. Those are typically the needs. Variable expenses tend to be the wants.
So such as your rent,
yes,
your accommodation,
so
your utility bills, your phone bills.
Exactly. So fixed costs would be, home mortgage, auto loan, utilities, water, trash, AT&T or Verizon bill, things like that are necessities on a daily basis, versus the variable cost would be like DoorDash, Hulu. How much are you paying to go to the movies or entertain yourself, things like that. Those are variable expenses. So where most people are challenged is in the variable expenses. And those are where they tend to exceed what their monthly income is. But those are also the ones where they don't have eyes on all the time. And they'll say, well, I don't know why I don't have any money at the end of the month.
I don't know where my money went.
Right. They can usually they can articulate pretty well what their fixed expenses are. Mm-hmm. When I ask them to articulate the variable expenses, we have no idea, right? So what we try to do is have people itemize what they're doing on a monthly basis and determine what those costs actually are. Then give me an average expense, or average cost of those expenses, and then we're able to tell what they're actually spending. Once I can do that, I can control the money a little bit better. The more control you have of the asset, the more likely you are to succeed in beginning to save, or at least have an understanding of how you can start to save.
So one of the questions that I've always wanted to ask is, for the most part, the average person is able to create a budget. Now, whether it works for them all the time or not, that's a completely different question.
Sure.
But they're able to determine what their monthly expenses are.
Right.
They already know what their income is. Now, a lot of people have their investments, they buy stocks, or have savings account, but what determines if a person needs to contact a wealth management company or somebody like yourself? If they're already doing well, or in their mind, they're doing just fine, right? Managing their money, putting some away for savings, allocating money to their needs versus their wants, and they feel like they're doing just fine.
Sure.
Why would they have the need to reach out to you, for example?
You don't know what you don't know. In a lot of cases, you want to make sure that what you're doing reconciles with what the experts in the industry would suggest or can do for you. So a lot of times, a lot of people that make quite a bit of money, and they still want to make sure that their strategies are in line with what we would do with our money. So we put together game plans for stuff like that. In a lot of instances, you'll have people that say, I'm doing fine, but high net worth, but they don't know what to do when they've got money in motion.
Yes.
When I say money in motion, maybe they've got the proceeds from the sale of the house, and they don't know, hey, I just came into some money based on some real estate. What do I do with that? I just left an employer, and I've got a 401k there that I want to move, and I want to have it managed. What do I do with that? Unfortunately, someone passed away in my family, and now I have an inheritance. What do I do with that? I've sold a business, and we have a liquidity event. What do I do with that? Typically, I am brought into the fold when there is money in motion. Someone's got an opportunity to look at the way that they are being stewards of their wealth, or the best ways to optimize those dollars in an effort to make sure a dollar yesterday spends like a dollar a day, spends like a dollar tomorrow. All too often, you've got an environment that's inflationary, which means that a loaf of bread yesterday was $1. That means today it's going to be 75 cents. Like a dollar spends like 75 cents, right? But if a loaf of bread's $1 and tomorrow it's $1.50, well, my same dollar that I used to buy that loaf of bread today now only buys me 75 cents worth of the same product. So I have to make sure that my dollars are keeping pace with inflation in an effort to make sure my money spends the same way. And a lot of people don't understand that conception. My grandmother is a perfect example. Like, I don't have money saved. It's all underneath my mattress. I haven't lost $1. I'm like, well, Grandma, you actually have, because your dollar is not keeping pace with inflation. So let's just say Grandma has $100,000 sitting in her mattress. Tomorrow, that $100,000
sitting in the savings account or very low interest.
Right. So that $100,000 now next year spends like $75,000 because she didn't account for the cost of inflation. She didn't account for the fact that gross domestic product or consumer goods rise in price every year. Her dollar didn't make any money. So if she's not keeping up with the pace of inflation, she's actually losing money. So it's really like the basis of investments typically stems from, yes, we want to have something that we can look at in the future for long term, but at its basic level, we have a need to keep up with inflation so that our dollar that we work so hard for spends like $1 tomorrow as well.
So not only do you provide services, financial services, you also give them a holistic, very comprehensive plan that you work alongside with them.
Yeah.
Or is it you meet with them, you have a game plan in place, and then you just send them off?
No.
Is this like a lifelong commitment to working with individuals on their money management?
Absolutely lifelong. Your life is dynamic.
Yeah.
And if it was static, you'd probably need me once. Yeah. But it changes weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. And it's important to relook at those things as they change. Like I said, maybe someone's passed away, now you need to relook at something. Maybe you've got kids going off to school, what happens then? You've gone into a higher tax bracket, now my money's changed. How do we optimize our tax situation or be most tax efficient with the amount of income we're receiving? All of those things are dynamic variables that need to be relooked at. It's like going to work out, right? You work out once, you're not done. You're just getting started. You need to be working out on a regular basis and re-looking at whether that workout program is appropriate for you. It's no different in my industry. So those are really important components. So to your point, the very first thing we do is set for a blueprint. And what I mean by that is we build financial plans for people. Financial plans is looking at how we're going to derive or create investment income. So there's an investment management component, right? Then we look at retirement income strategies. 95% of the people that work with us have income objectives. It's about, hey, what's my long-term goal? Wait a minute, let's back into it. How much income do you want to derive from your portfolio when you go to retire at age 60? Okay, so retirement income strategies are extremely important to that. Estate planning. Do I want to leave a legacy for my family? Who am I leaving my resources to? What burden do I want to leave them with or not leave them with, right? As it pertains to who I live stuff with, living will, healthcare surrogate. If I'm in the hospital, I'm unable to speak and I'm incapacitated, who's the one taking care of some of those needs? Like, a lot of people don't look at that stuff. I know I was in a situation when I was younger and my wife and I were on a flight coming home from a destination wedding, and the plane that we were on was flying into Fort Lauderdale, and that thing fell out of the sky for about 3 to 5 seconds. We hit an air pocket, right? Freaked out. Everybody on the plane was screaming, and once we finally landed and settled, we started saying to ourselves, oh my God, if we had crashed and died, who was going to take care of the kids? Her thought was, oh, my parents were going to take them. And I said, hold the phone. I thought my parents are here in Louisville, like I thought they were going to take them. So it's a conversation that even 5 years into my marriage, we had never had. And so
a lot of families have not had these conversations.
Correct. It's extremely overlooked. No one wants to talk about death. But when it comes to leaving a legacy for your children or making sure their needs are taken care of, conversation absolutely must happen. So estate planning becomes a big part of that. College education funding is a big part of that. How do we subsidize that? Well, what's your philosophy on funding education? I've got some families that say, hey, I had to pay my own way. They got to pay their own way. I got other families that say, we want to take care of our child from a collegiate level on into postgraduate school and make sure that's taken care of. We don't want them starting out with that, or we want to take a look at ways where we can at least empower them throughout that process.
And it's all about empowerment. It's all about learning the best steps as you empower not just the family, but the community as well. Because I'm sure you're familiar with our community where a lot of times if there's a death, we put a GoFundMe together because we did not have life insurance, because we've not done estate planning. We overlook a lot of things because I don't speak as an African, right? A lot of times we say, God forbid, it's not going to happen. But there are some things that are sure to happen in life.
100%.
Death is one of those things. It's going to happen. It's just a question of when. So putting your house in place, in shape, properly, meeting with somebody who is an expert like yourself to ensure that everything is in place before life happens, because life is definitely going to happen. Walk us through what a session looks like.
So usually the very first time I meet with someone, it's a relationship. I have a lot of mentees that work with me and they say, what's the number one thing? And I said, do I like you? If I don't like you, it's never going to work, right? It's a relationship driven. The second thing is, do I trust you? Do you trust what I'm saying and my ability to do what I'm saying? And the third is, did I live up to the standard that I set? Did I follow through with what we decided? Those are usually the first three components when I sit down. Before I even put pen to paper on your plan, I look at those three things first, right? Once we do that, we're going to have a discovery session where we're doing a Q&A. I'm going to walk through everything that has to do with your financial plan. Anything from what do you got in your checking account to what's in your 401k, what's our debt look like, how much income are we making, what are our vacation goals, anything and everything that's tied to what would be a financial planning piece for you. At that point, we input in our data software. We use a tool called Right Capital. It is a financial planning tool There's 1,000 of them to choose from out there, Money Guide Pro, so on and so forth. There's a bunch. But we look at that and then we strategize about what the plan is. So to give you an example, I've got a client that said, "Oh, I want to have $1 million by the time I retire." You hear these people talk about this all day long, and it sounds sexy. And I said, "Why?" So, well, because I never had $1 million. So what's $1 million buy you? And when they really stopped and thought about it, they didn't really understand it, right? It just sounds good. Really what that person needed to generate was about $8,000 a month, right? Their expenses were $4,000, but generate $8,000, they had a buffer of about $4,000, they could take their trips, do whatever they wanted. So this need for having this benchmark in an account was really more of what they had seen from societal like things. So I took them away from that thought process and told them what the reality of the situation was, what they actually needed was a lot more attainable for them. Now, the $1 million was in turn because I want to leave a legacy for my kids. So we start gearing that towards life insurance. Maybe you buy an insurance policy that's cheap money or inexpensive money, right? That you can in turn leave a death benefit to your kids. So they have $1 million. So it's things like that that we look at within the financial plan to determine what you're really trying to do. Why is that the goal? We are what's called fiduciaries in our industry, which means I do what's in your best interest. If you're just coming to me and say, "Hey, I want to buy this insurance policy," or "I want to buy Apple stock," this doesn't happen here. We have a whole lot of lies that we go through. Why are we doing that? Why is that a benefit to you? How does that impact your overall plan? And we look at that as part of your picture. So we kind of go back to what you were saying a minute ago, that initial blueprint of that financial plan where we're walking through those 5 silos. Investment management, retirement income, estate planning, life insurance, college education funding. That sets the foundation for everything you do, right? And you talk about empowerment. Once you know what those pieces of the puzzle are, you gain so much control over your ability to be financially free. Why do we make money like this? Because we want to be financially free. We want to be able to be free to pursue our passions, things that we truly want to do. And so for me,
and for a generation.
Absolutely. And the power of what I do is in creating financial freedom. When your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses, you can go out and pursue whatever you want to do. Now, you can help your community without having to worry about what you're doing over here with your money. You are free to go help anybody and everybody, right? With whatever your expertise is. I really believe that everyone is an expert at something. Someone has an ability that I don't, right? But are they able to share that? Are they so focused on what they do over here because they got to provide for their family that they don't have time to give you the benefit of their knowledge, their savvy, their expertise? So one of the macro things I think about is how many people I can benefit to get them to financial freedom so that they can go be empowered to pursue their passions.
How affordable are the services?
Services are really affordable. There was a day when I was a traditional stockbroker where it was more transactional. Any and all trades that you wanted to do with me cost you, sometimes $100 or more per trade that we did. These days we have moved away from that model and we are more of an advisory fee service business. So generally speaking, the cost of that are anything from say 1% to 1.2% of your assets that we're managing. So it can be very, very reasonable. On $100,000, we would charge you $1,250 per year to manage that. That would come out of your account quarterly. So $1,250 divided by 4 is what you'd be charged per quarter. And it also is an invoice to you. So I was like, "Oh, I don't have that out of pocket." I'm like, well, we basically take that net of your return. So you're not actually having to pay out of pocket for our services. That's if we're managing the money. A big component of what we do is the investment management piece. And that's where we're either buying or selling individual stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange rate funds, Bitcoin, real estate, precious metals, a whole deal. I manage individual accounts like that. But by the same token, there's plenty of people that just want the financial plan. You'll find that financial planners across the board will charge a one-time fee or an annual fee to build the plan, and they can range anywhere from say $500 up to $5,000, depending on how complex the project is.
So are you able to also manage not just personal, but company portfolios as well?
You know,
Or you're limited in that capacity?
company portfolios it's really more if I've got an executive or someone working for a company and they want us to manage their retirement plan, a 401k.
And what I mean by company portfolios, I'm talking about a lot of us have businesses.
Sure.
We say small businesses,
Yeah.
but I don't like the word small businesses.
Right.
We have business or we
Yeah.
have plans in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
future to
Absolutely.
start our business.
Yeah.
So how does that fit into
Two ways to look
the
at that.
services that you offer?
100% we do that. You'll find that a lot of professionals or executives, particularly as they become more profitable, start to look for tax efficiency within the business. It's twofold. Selfishly, they're going to say, hey, I'm making so much more money now. How do I reduce my tax liability? Plus, I've got this business and I have no pension coming. I'm responsible for this. So how do I fund my own retirement? All right. So they'll start looking at things like simple IRAs, SEP IRAs, 401ks, solo 401ks. Those are all programs that we certainly navigate and manage for people as well. On the other hand, some people are more selfless, right? And they're saying, hey, I've done great with what I'm doing, but I'm really keen on making sure my employees are taken care of. They provided for me, I want to provide for them. So some owners of businesses will institute profit sharing programs. They will institute 401ks with high matching provisions. They'll institute SEP IRAs where they can not only contribute on their own behalf, but then they'll have matching provisions that are pretty high as well. So there are a number of different ways for a small business owner or a company owner to take advantage of retirement planning strategies for themselves and for their employees. So absolutely, like whenever we're building things out, you'll find that with company owners, as they become a lot more profitable, the estate planning piece becomes really big. What I mean by that is business succession. What are you doing it for, right? Oh, I'm doing it to leave a legacy for my kids. All right, let's see how we integrate them into the business and make sure you pass this on to them in a tax efficient way. How do we do that in a seamless transition? Oh, I'm looking to get bought out. I was just doing this business so that I can make my nut and then move on because I want to live more and more. Okay, well, how do we do that? So we make sure that they've got the right buy-sell agreements in place. They've got the right things so that pivot or that transition away from the business is seamless, whether they want to leave it to their children or some investors come in to buy it. So all of those things can be looked at, and we do all that stuff.
Well, we have heard about the business and the professional side of you.
Yeah.
Now we want to know more about Pi.
What?
Who is Pi? What keeps you motivated? Why? What has kept you in this industry for so long? I know you talked about the fact that you can empower people,
Yeah.
educate them, empower the community.
Sure.
But what has caused you to not only push further, to learn more, to gain more education about this industry that is very, very important, and also what keeps you motivated on a daily basis?
I found a long time ago that there was this common denominator in what I was doing between coaching and educating. As a side hobby, I love coaching football. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I played college football, and the idea of being a part of that community has never left me. So I love working with kids, and most times that's manifested in a way where I'm coaching them on a field, right? I love that. I don't know exactly why, but I really enjoy being able to educate people about things I feel very comfortable with.
Yeah.
What ended up happening is that just kind of spilled over into what I do from a career standpoint. So as much as I am an advisor, you know, at the core of what I'm doing is I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. I'm just teaching you how to do the things I already know to do, or what I've learned to do in my field of expertise. So you find that I've got a lot of emphasis these days as our book of business and clients has grown. It's afforded me the opportunity to provide some literacy and education to those who don't have the means or the opportunities for some of that stuff. So where I really derive a lot of my passion is around the education of our community and individuals who really need the help. You know, like I really enjoy getting in there and taking a complex topic and being able to provide it to someone in a way that they understand completely. And there's nothing more rewarding to me than having somebody at the end of the day come back and say, thank you so much for what you did for us. Without your tutelage and without your help, my family would not have been able to get my son to college. My family would not have been able to have dad retire and spend more time with us. My family wouldn't have known how to work through when mama died. And now we know what to do, and you made that transition for us so much easier. It's everything.
It has to be satisfying, making that impact in the life.
Man, it's the biggest thing that I do.
What would you say to that 13-year-old if you had to look back? What advice will you give to the 13-year-old high?
Yeah. Life's not always perfect. It ebbs and flows a lot more. You know, when I was young, a lot of things went my way. You know, I was very, very lucky, very fortunate. I had two great parents that really made sure we were afforded the opportunity to win, right? And give us everything we wanted, but they put us in a position to win. It was my job to do what I needed to do with it, but so because of that, I had a lot of cushion. You know, when life hit, I had a place to fall, and a lot of people didn't have that. As I got older and more independent, you started to feel some of those hits a little bit harder. The pressure of life takes on. You have more responsibilities. Being able to breathe through a lot of that stuff was something that I struggled with. Being able to take a hit, fall down, and get back up. You know, very, very difficult. Some people don't know how to lose. And you will find in our lifetime, you're going to lose a lot. And to be able to look at losing as learning, as an opportunity to learn, and then get back up and find another day and try again a different way, right? Really important. And I feel like that's something that isn't taught as much with this next generation, but it's something that I would have told myself again, don't be afraid to lose, don't be afraid to take the risk. You know, because there's a lot of learning experience that can come from it. Make prudent decisions, right? But I call it prudent risks. Like you evaluate something, do the diligence, vet the project, vet the understanding, you know, and if you've done that, you know, things can go your way. I also really believe in people. Supporting network is everything to me. The friends that are in my life, the people that I rely on and that I can talk to, extremely important to navigate. Not anything we're like, self-made. Probably not. Like there was some supporting network, a supporting cast that came along the way. So surrounding yourself, I had times in my life when I surrounded myself with the healthiest, most successful people, and it is incredible how the trajectory changes when you do that versus surrounding yourself with the opposite of that, where it can go the exact opposite way. So
totally.
It's unbelievable how true that really is. And so one of the things, lifelong lessons I've always learned is if I'm the smartest person in the room, there's a problem, right? I always put myself in rooms where most of the people, if not all of them, are smarter than me. And I end up learning so much more than I ever would.
What is your proudest moment, or what or who are you most proud of?
I mean, proudest moment is tough. There's a lot of them. I mean, when I was young, my proudest moment was really graduating from high school, getting into Wake Forest, being able to play college football when nobody told me I could. I'm 5'8", 100 and nothing pounds, and I was playing in the toughest conference in the country at that point, playing with guys that are 6'5", 6'7", and 300 pounds, and I managed to get on the field. And all while everyone told me I couldn't do it. And sure enough, I got my Letterman's jacket. I did it. And I hold that very thing in high esteem. Graduating from Wake Forest, which was considered Ivy League of the South, was a very high accomplishment for me as well. Passing my Series 7 as an investment advisor, 40% of the people that sit for the Series 7 pass it. I assure you there's not many of us that pass that test or even are in the running for that test. And I was very, very proud to be that, and certainly excited to be one of the African American advisors in this community. Has been important to me too. I wish there were more. I want to mentor more. But I think you can still count on two hands how many African American financial advisors there are that are registered with their Series 7 in the local community. Very, very important to me. And then in terms of who I'm proud of, and my parents, have been just guiding lights for me throughout my entire career. Both of them entrepreneurs at heart. And my dad started a primary care practice in downtown Louisville. And what most people don't know is that my mom started an interior design store. She owned a company called By the Yard, before she had my sisters. And so my brother and I, at a very young age, were instilled with kind of entrepreneurial spirit from our parents. I'm very, very proud to have them in my life. And then my kids, have overcome quite a bit, done very, very well. My oldest son is in a sport that is traditionally played by women, and managed to overcome a lot of the stigmas around that, and now plays on the U.S. men's national team at the highest level in men's field hockey. Really proud of him. My youngest is doing very, very well as well. Plays elite soccer here locally at Louisville Elite, and has done very well too. So very, very proud of my children too, and looking forward to what the future holds for them.
Oh, I'm sure the future holds quite a bit of amazing experiences for them. It's been a pleasure having you here. I know that your schedule is extremely busy, so thank you for making the time to come here on this podcast. But before I let you go,
sure.
Tell our people, tell the community how they can get a hold of you.
Sure.
Because this is very important information that we need as a people. Mm-hmm. We need to not only know how to manage our resources, but also when it comes to life insurance, when it comes to
educational funding.
Exactly.
Things of that nature.
Yes. Yeah. We need to be able to contact you, reach out to you,
right,
to help us in that area.
Absolutely. And right now, one of the biggest areas.
You're taking new clients.
Yeah. One of the biggest areas I'm helping people right now is high school and college athletes. Okay. With the advent of NIL, name, image, and likeness, you've got a lot more college students that are receiving pay-for-play checks where they're receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars at the ages of, say, 18 to 22 years old. What do you do with that? I know if I was 18 years old and somebody handed me a check for $300,000, I'm going out buying a new car, I'm getting the shoes, whatever. There's a difference between a dopamine hit that you get from buying something tangible today versus investing for your future and having your money be there all along that path, right? So I'm helping a lot with that, but there's always a need, as I mentioned, Money in Motion, where people will come to me and say, hey, what do I do with this or that resource, and how can I best utilize this to be a steward to my family and for myself? And so you can reach me, pi@copperwoodfinancial.com is my email.
And pi, not P-I-E, but P-A-I.
So, it's PAI@copperwoodfinancial.com. Copperwood Financial is the name of our firm, and you can reach us on that website. I can also be reached by phone, 502-494-4223. And I've got several social media profiles, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram is my Pro Athlete Wealth page as well. So hopefully that's enough for you to be able to get a hold of me. And I assure you there's only one Pi Charasika out there. So That part shouldn't be an issue.
It should be easy to find them. Well, it is time, it's a brand new year, it's 2025. It is time to take control of our financial life. We dream and we talk about financial freedom, about creating generational wealth. This is where it starts. This is where it starts. Because this year, one thing we're going to do as a community is stop talking about it and actually put the action behind it. So that our children, we know that we're leaving a legacy behind for our children. My people, my community, it is time to get this done, okay? All right. So on this note, we come to the close of the Quintessential Rebel podcast. I can't wait to reveal who the next guest will be on the show. But stay tuned now and make sure to follow us on all our platforms. On Instagram and on Facebook is Quintessential Rebel. And on YouTube, you can find us on Quintessential Rebel as well. Take care, everyone.